just going to skip the countdown this time and go right into the meat of the message. Me and my wine glass. So, a lot has happened in the game in the past few months. Big ticket items have been some patch updates. The Max rework-ish, and then Rel's departure from PlanetSide 2, Rogue Planet Games, as lead designer. And with that has come a number of changes, or what feel like changes, on the player's end of the community for this game. So what I'm going to do here is just lay out my desire here to join the PlanetSide 2 game, as it has been for quite a number of years since I've transitioned from active duty military service to a more flexible place where I can pursue my dream job, which is joining the PlanetSide 2 team. And it's kind of lay out in long form what I would do, and also my reaction to some of the things I'm seeing on their website with the multiple postings of things like executive producer, community manager, project manager, and positions such as that. And the bottom line up front is that I have, since I separated honorably from active duty military service back in 2020, pursued a position with PlanetSide 2 and Rogue Planet Games. So it's been about 3 years now. I think I've applied maybe 7 times to many different positions. Everything from, we can look here, everything from, let's go to back to the job list. Everything from creative director to community manager to executive producer, project manager. Some ones that aren't listed on here is the quality assurance position. I've applied for a lot of them, and many of them I've been, I guess you could say, overqualified for. But my desire to join the PlanetSide 2 team remains strong. However, what's prompting this video is some of the things I just watched in Deeg and Lex's podcast kind of gave me some motivation there, and also the window for me to adapt my lifestyle to the Rogue Planet Games and PlanetSide 2 game expectations to be a good teammate is rapidly closing. Is the word rapidly because as I gain seniority in my current positions and start to family plan, let's call it, the opportunity for me to adjust my own living expectations, conditions to be in what I would consider to be my dream job in PlanetSide 2 is starting to narrow to a point where there will come a day when I'm no longer able to say that I can join the PlanetSide 2 team, even if I were accepted. So this right here is my, let's call it, cold open to these positions. And as I mentioned, I'm no stranger to submitting my resume for these positions, and the last of which yesterday I submitted for the executive producer. Thank you, Daddy, for telling me that was open again. But I've applied many times for community manager, a number of times for quality assurance, and I have a number of endorsements and recommendations from previous Rogue Planet Games and PlanetSide 2 employees. You know, most notable Tony Drew's Radar X, and I had many discussions with the previous executive producers like Andy Seitz and creative director Higby. So I feel that I'm the ideal candidate for a lot of these positions, but for some reason In some cases, I've received something what I would consider to be an auto denial, and in other cases, just lack of clarity on what exactly Rogue Planet Games and Daybreak Games is looking for to fill positions that um, achieve these sort of results. So here's the video to that end. I mean, are you passionate? Of course, I've been a player for over 10 years now, since beta PlanetSide 2. Are you creative? I have the resume to prove it. Ambitious? Absolutely. Military, industry, the whole thing. So then the question is after applying and putting together very professional resumes, cover letters, references, what is it that a person like myself is lacking in order to join the Rogue Planet Games team for PlanetSide 2? And talking past with people like Higby, for instance, and RadarX, they both mentioned how they don't recommend to me that I join because of PlanetSide 2. I hear their reasons for it. I get it. Ultimately, PlanetSide 2 is where my heart is. So if I can join that game specifically, then there are a lot of things I'm willing to stomach to make that happen because of the passion, let's say. Passion isn't everything, as Lex would say, and I have the industrial resume to back up certainly many certifications and experience in the industry, such as Department of Defense and now civil service. To that end, though, it kind of eludes me, as I haven't received an extensive amount of feedback from the Daybreak team as to what it is that I don't possess that they're looking for. When you have over 21 jobs available, in some cases it went up to 40, who exactly are you looking for? And that's been bothering me for quite some time, because in some of these instances I think I'm objectively overqualified for those positions. And whether I'm overqualified or not, I would heartily enjoy contributing to the PlanetSide 2 team, as I have been in a volunteer status these past 10 years, co-founding and leading PlanetSide battles, server smash, and the many good works that the team did during our tenure, of which Record Smash was one of them, Murder Smash, and over 50 server smashes held with an excess of 200 to 400 players. We've done quite a bit to contribute to the bottom line cost and performance expectations that you would expect of the PlanetSide 2 business unit, let's call it. So, I guess I'd say I'm one of the people who I believe is a good fit for the PlanetSide 2 team. And it won't be too long before I just am not able to submit more resumes. So this was going to serve as one of my last few attempts to demonstrate, or otherwise, let's call it interview for the position, so that Daybreak knows that, for roles like executive producer or project manager or community manager, I am qualified for those positions, seeking those positions with PlanetSide 2, and ultimately I believe I'm a good fit for those positions. So I'll just zero in on two of them, the community manager and the executive producer, of which I'm probably most closely qualified for, other than project manager, which technical operations doesn't fit in my specific realm of expertise. That technical operations is more corporation-wide, whereas the one that I was searching, that I applied for, was project manager of the PlanetSide 2 game specifically. I have my PMP, I have my certified project officer, I'm Six Sigma Green Belt certified. I have many certifications to back up my industry experience. And let's go first with executive producer. So for executive producer here per Daybreak Games' own website, it's a position that is in San Diego, and salary range of 150 to 200,000. That may vary based on location, but ultimately that fits within my salary expectation as well. And the opportunity itself, I've worked with a number of executive producers in the past, notably David Carey, Andy Seitz, and if you access my resume and my cover letter, you'll see that I have some of those connections in there. But the executive producer, as I've read and as I've familiarized myself with, is being responsible as the studio head, which is primarily, the lead business unit POC, point of contact, leading the overall student business and organization of RPG in San Diego, and reports to the CEO of Daybreak Games, which is both of those currently are up in the leadership positions of EG7, and have both. I follow them both when they have done the quarterly presentations for EG7. GHAM, for instance, speaking a lot on EBITDA for EG7. So I'm quite aware that if I were to be executive producer, that I would need to be oriented toward those sorts of things that are important to G and Jason. So my current experience as business unit lead of my own business unit I'm already doing these things every day, but for not this, let's call it. But ultimately, the executive producer is responsible for overall direction and success of the studio as a business unit. So it's the inflow and outflow of cash, the expenditure of resources in order to turn about an end result. As I mentioned, EBITDA. So I imagine that would be fairly important, and of which PlanetSide 2 has been slumping in exposure these past few, I'd say more than few, EG7 shareholder presentations. We were present in the original merger of Daybreak and EG7 when EG7 acquired Daybreak, but since then our exposure in our space that we've taken up in those presentations have shrunk to now we aren't even mentioned. So that tells me that the overall direction and success has not been a positive trending, and that's something I would want to turn around as the executive producer. So now that since Rel has transitioned from being in the lead designer, and Andy has been transitioned for quite some time, I believe, and I mentioned this in my cover letter to the executive producer role, I believe that there is a vacuum that needs to be filled with experienced leadership, of which I believe I can fulfill that. So lead the team in establishing and guiding long-term vision and direction of the game IP for studio and franchise. Being a player myself for over 10 years now, there's no dispute in my mind that I understand the vision and direction of the game IP. I've worked alongside Higby. He and I have spoken on occasions. I knew Rel before he was a game designer, back when he was a YouTube content creator, and worked alongside multiple community managers. So I have a handle on what the game IP is, where it could and should be going, but ultimately establishing and guiding is the key term there. The long-term vision and direction has been set for quite some time. It would be my job to assess that long-term vision and direction, to realign it as necessary in accordance with cost, performance, and schedule expectations of the business unit. Own the vision for product, process, practice, people, and tools. This to me is in the list of things here, one of the key points that I feel that PlanetSide 2 could greatly benefit from at the moment, which is someone owning the business unit, owning it. Andy Seitz did a fabulous job, wonderful job. I enjoyed working with him and the many things that we did together. But ultimately, owning that vision, product, processes, people, practice, tools, that has to be true in order for PlanetSide 2 to continue to be successful and or recover from downward trending cost performance schedule KPIs, key performance key performance indicators. So that would be something I would zero in on very quickly to establish control so that the business unit remains and or improves from where it is now. Establish and drive execution of the business plan. That would be, in my estimation right now, it's probably proprietary, very confidential. So I would need to probably read the business plan for what the expectations are and or the standard operating procedures for that business unit, PlanetSide 2, in order to continue it and improve it to exceed expectations. Scope and develop the execution plan. My familiarity with PlanetSide 2, I have no reservation for doing that. Sequence and stack rank priorities. Okay, there are a number of priorities that seem very obvious to me for PlanetSide 2, of which the current development team collective, I believe, is already accomplishing. Establish, refine the resource plan. That to me has been on my mind for quite some time. I've always wondered, how is the resource plan being executed? Because as I mentioned up above, there were 21 opportunities available, and the PlanetSide 2 team has been like this for a long time. So to me, that means that there's some volatility in the execution of that resource plan, which means both material and personnel. That hasn't created a sustainable model, and I would seek to establish that model. What is it that is driving people from the team? Is it leadership? Is it organizational? Is there some sort of structure? Whatever obstacle is pushing people away from tenure needs to be identified and eliminated for the game to improve, for the team to remain healthy. Partner with department leaders and establish and maintain all the above: vision, scope, staffing, schedule, budget. I've been doing that quite some time, many years, both as a military officer and also a program manager. So no issue there. I would just need to look at what is that balance sheet look like? How does that stack against our priorities? What are our resource constraints? And then what sort of opportunities can I afford the team so that we can become healthy? Lead development, management, and direction of live game service and operations. Content production, systems, features for live game. Yeah, all of those of which I'm familiar, specifically for PlanetSide 2, so no issues there. I would need to, in live game service, that's where my highest growth area is live game service. I used to own my own game corporation, and it didn't get to the level that I wanted it to, and that was in excess of active duty service. So this is where I would want to grow the most as I liaise with the team to learn how they do things and what would make us successful, to iterate on that. Lead exploration and development of investment plan for new game opportunities with the Studio Core's IP. This one is a touchy subject because that immediately throws into my mind PlanetSide Arena, some things that were the development of an investment plan for new game opportunities that had unfortunate timing of other things like Apex Legends, which took away from the market share of PlanetSide Arena. However, some of that was cannibalized into the PlanetSide 2 game, but even so, there are still many new game opportunities that we can iterate on, such as Outfit Wars, to make it more integrated into the PlanetSide 2 game, and other such opportunities which expand PlanetSide 2. Manage studio and development teams. No issue. My current role, I have many different functional areas such as logistics, finance, procurement, data and configuration management, scheduling, engineering. Many different development teams is what we call functionals in the Department of Defense. So that's no issue there. It's just the biggest thing there is you're only as good as the team that you're a part of, and your success, my success as executive producer, would heavily rely on the health of the team. So it would be my job to identify obstacles for them to do their job and to eliminate those obstacles as much as possible. Not everything is going to be eliminatable. There are business aspects that must exist and must be true no matter what. Understood. But the management of that studio and development teams will very much depend on understanding their discipline, understanding what it is that makes them healthy, and then expanding that. So, does that mean an adjustment of core hours? Am I even allowed to adjust that? Does that mean remote versus in person? I know that Rogue Planet Games has been remote for quite some time, having tried to visit them late last year or earlier this year, excuse me. And then financial performance for the studio, of which I have next to no insight into. That would be one of the first few things that I delve into as executive producer, is to figure out what the financial performance is. I do have some indication per EG7's financial disclosures when they acquired Rogue Planet Games and Daybreak Games. You could see the financial performance of the game. So I would be very interested to delve into that, to understand what our constraints are, what would compel me to act on things that I'm held to as a standard. Report game and business performance to stakeholders and publisher on a regular cadence. I do that all the time with my current job as program manager of a business unit. Foster relationships with partner teams and shared services to support the game. Absolutely. I did that. That was one of the things I did as a volunteer in PlanetSide battles with Andy Seitz. I found some relationship, partnership opportunities that I received his concurrence on. Some of them didn't turn out, but one of them was signed by the Daybreak Games team, legal team, and inked. So yeah, that's something I already have experience in. Be a passionate ambassador for the game IP. I love the game. I am very passionate in the game, and I have the industrial expertise to turn that passion into performance and output. All right, now here's the part where it gets a little, not dicey, but interpretive. Criteria: 10 years production development, product management experience. I have that. On a live game, such as a service product. Technically, I have it in semantics. As I said, I own my own game corporation outside of my Department of Defense career. However, my Department of Defense career is not a live game service. It is, the defense of the nation. So that I can't say that I have that in the spirit or the intent here. However, I do have years of experience with software as a service experience, and I have more than 3 years. At this point, I have 13 years of leadership role experience, being a military officer and chief executive officer of my own corporation. Additionally, you should possess Must have shipped multiple success titles. I have not done that. Strong knowledge and experience with free-to-play games as a service economy. I do have strong knowledge of, having tried to develop my own games as a service, and experience. I didn't get that GAAS off the ground to the extent that I wanted it to. I had to shelve it when it wasn't performing to my expectations. Experience with and full embrace of data analytics and data-driven decision making. Absolutely no issue there. Utilization of A/B testing framework. I used to know. So that would be split testing or bucket testing. Okay. That to me kind of speaks more to waterfall and agile, iterative type implementation of testing, of which we do in the Department of Defense. Leverage data to estimate expected outcomes and potential return on investment, then stack, rank, and prioritize. I do that currently, my own job. Market awareness analysis, currently performing. Consumer awareness analysis, also currently performing. Player and market management and analysis. I have been on the receiving end of that as a PlanetSide 2 player. So I have been very interested. I am very interested in how the PlanetSide 2 is unique. Maybe not solely unique, but the depth to which the volunteership goes for players that do this. So FISU, PS2 Arena, Hanu, Voidwell. Like there are player and market management and analysis systems galore. All you have to do is just delve into it to extract that data and then make it valuable. There is so much of this that could be helpful to the game. Highly processed driven expert in SDLC. I don't think I quite know that word. Let's find out what that means. Software development lifecycle. Oh, okay. So like things like analysis, design, and planning, and fielding, and implementation, and research and development, like all of that. With a proven track record of quality development, execution against plans, I have that resume experience galore. Passion for being in the trenches. Yes. A good leader knows, in my opinion, a good leader knows enough about everything to know how to help the team, to contribute. And that doesn't mean necessarily coding, but it also means that when someone comes to me and says, hey, I have this issue, please help me, I can then take that and be like, okay, here is where your tension points are. Here's the problem areas that you're experiencing. What can I do with the authority that I have to alleviate that? And part of that comes with having been in the trenches. I have a starting point for what I can do to relieve those tension points for the team. Driving day-to-day decisions, sure, absolutely, while never losing sight of the high vision. Whether or not I get the role here, something I noticed that has been invaluable in my own leadership positions where you're in both ends of trenches, driving day-to-day decisions, but not losing sight of the high-level vision. One of the things that I found that was most helpful is I put that high-level vision in the introductory slide of the teams, of the integrated product teams daily scrum, let's call it. Whenever we meet together in the morning, on the actual introductory slide of here's our team, or the second slide thereof, I put what that vision is. What are we here to accomplish? I find that every time I do that, and it's like a few seconds every day. Hey team, welcome back for the morning. Yesterday we did this, today we did this. Our vision is this, and here's how we're getting there. Like that right there, just putting a one sentence of what the vision is, I find is very helpful for orienting the team. Because even then the team knows when I'm not there talking to them what it is we're trying to accomplish. If the team doesn't know what we're trying to accomplish, how can I expect them to actually do it? So just putting a one sentence summary there has, in my mind, been invaluable to helping the team perform. And we invite you to get in the game with us and help us make exciting experiences. The thing that kind of rubs me the wrong way with what I'm reading here is that I have, as I mentioned, probably applied maybe 7 times to project manager positions, community manager positions, quality assurance positions. I have bona fide certifications in all of those things. And in only one case did I receive feedback about what it is that they were looking for that I didn't have. And in that one case, I shored that up in the next year and then submitted my resume in subsequent job postings. But I haven't heard back. And it bothers me because this is what is being read for the job description. This is what is being advertised up front here in the top as the bumper sticker. Are you passionate? Yes. Are you creative? Yes. What was the next one? Are you ambitious? Yes. Maybe a question not asked here is, do you have the resume experience? Also yes. But people like myself are not advanced in their interview process. And that to me is very unfortunate. Because you have people who join the team who we've noticed have left year or 2 years later. And my question is if that's what the pattern is for your business unit, why aren't you expanding that? You did it for rail, and people have opinions about rail, and I'm not getting into that. I think highly of rail, to be honest. I don't agree with everything he's done, but I don't need to. The point is that he was a very passionate person who spent 8 years as developer on the team. That was just one. So how many times have you iterated on that success? And as far as I'm aware of, you haven't. Daybreak Games, you have hired one person from that pool who gave you 8 years of their life. And instead of iterating on that, you've chosen to go the route of the open market where people have given you 1 to 2 years max in some cases and then departed and transitioned out of that role. So here I am. My window of opportunity to where my life circumstances afford me the ability to be on the Daybreak team is narrowing, and it one day will come to a close. It's not today, and I don't foresee it being tomorrow, but ultimately that is what I want to do. I want to join the PlanetSide 2 team. So I'll stop there because I'm 33 minutes in, but ultimately that is what I would do to meet the intent of the executive producer role. I am and have been an executive producer equivalent for quite some time of my own business unit, and I have the relevant experience of leading multi-$100 million teams and portfolios, and in some cases multi-billion-dollar teams and portfolios, to the extent to where I believe I would be successful in this role. I would have a lot of learning to do and being in that role versus, say, community manager or project manager. And ultimately, I'm confident in my success for meeting that position. So, thank you. I think I'll end it here and then maybe do one